All right, so today I would like to talk to you about the topic of selfless. Okay, so I'm going to come at this from two different directions. One direction where I think that it's properly applied, and one direction where I think it's improperly applied. And this is not necessarily based on anything that I've witnessed, but I'm kind of thinking hypothetically. I think people could use these both in the correct way and in the incorrect way, at least based on my perception of correct usage and incorrect usage. But okay, so before we start this, let's actually get a definition, and I pulled one up from Google just for simplicity. So selfless, concerned more with the needs and wishes of others than one's own. And then it says semicolon, unselfish. All right. So something that this definition doesn't say, and I'm not sure that it should, but it doesn't make a distinction between who is going to potentially be using this word and in what context. So I can understand why it wouldn't include that, but I do think that people do have to be concerned with what is the context of the usage of this word. And so let me illustrate that coming from two different directions here. So the first would be the direction of me attributing selfless to a person who is not me, but that I have witnessed from a distance. So I am not part of a particular interaction, but I'm witnessing it happen from a distance. And in this specific case, let me give the example of a child falls in the middle of a street, a busy street. There's lots of cars, and I see a man rush out, grab the child, and pull the child from the middle of the street to the edge of the street to safety. All right, so my thought, like probably most people watching this, would be, wow, that's so selfless. This is a busy street. It looks like the person is in danger, right? Or could potentially have been in danger by putting themselves in that scenario. And sure, the child was in danger, but that person didn't have to do that, and they did it anyway. And so I would say that that is a correct application of a word like selfless. If I want to actually put it into a sentence, I could say, my gosh, that person is awfully selfless to have done that. And I think that's proper. And I think that we can agree on that. Now, where I think that it is that it doesn't apply is that if I'm the actual guy saving the child. So let's take the same hypothetical. So there's a child in the middle of the street. There's oncoming traffic. You know, it's busy enough to look dangerous from anyone who's viewing this. Okay? I, the man who saves a child, do a quick calculation in my head. I look at the how busy the street is. I rush out, save the child, and bring the child to the other side, maybe to the mother or the parents. You know, and I'm being witnessed probably. I mean, if this is midday, there's going to be a lot of people around. So other people are witnessing this, whether they be in their cars or be walking on the street or wherever. Okay? So I have done this. Now, you could, on the face of this, just with this simple kind of explanation of what I've done as the person who saved the child, you could say, oh, that is selfless. And I don't see a problem with you describing yourself in that way. You have done a selfless act, right? But here's my problem. The problem is the calculation that I've done in my head previous to actually saving that child, right? The calculation, and I have to admit, the calculation, much of which I might not actually be even cognitively aware of, certainly not beforehand, right? Because, you know, you have to be quick. You see a dangerous situation, you do a quick calculation. You don't always have, you know, a chance to compute things properly in your head and actually have an actual discussion with yourself. It's just kind of, you just act. But you have actually done a calculation. Whether you know it or not, you have done a calculation. You know, a risk assessment, all right? The cost to benefit analysis. You've done these things, right? I thought before I saved the child, oh, there's plenty of time. I mean, you know, it might be only plenty of time in terms of a couple of seconds, but there's still enough time. So I don't think I'm reasonably going to get harmed, and I certainly don't think the child's going to get harmed in this situation. So, sure. And why I say sure to that is because there are benefits to this, and the benefits are many. One benefit is just I satiate my own need to feel good about myself, right? I want to do good things in the world. Many people, I think most people in the world, are charitable people. They want to do good in the world, and so they act in that fashion so that they can kind of satiate that need to feel, in judging themselves, to feel that they have bettered the world in some way, bettered other people's lives in some way. In this case, saved a person's life, potentially. Okay? And then there's other benefits, right? So if the street is surrounded by people, whether we're talking about people in cars or people just walking around, you have to think about, whether you're acknowledging this like cognitively at the time or not, you have to acknowledge that it almost certainly plays a part in this, right? Other people are going to be happy as a byproduct of this. So you save the child, and people look at this and they think, wow, now that is a great example of a human being right there. That person has done good. And it's easy to understand why that is. I mean, we value our own lives, and therefore it's easy for us to put ourselves in the situation of other people, and you would really wish that someone would do that for you if you were in a similar situation. So you're met with kindness, with gratitude, on part of the parents and passersby, again, the people in the cars even, and so on and so forth. So that goes beyond even your own recognition of yourself and what you have done to make yourself feel good. You now have this external thing too. Okay? And, there are many other things that could be a potential benefit as a result of you saving a person in this type of scenario. So I can't, based on what I've just said, what I've just laid out, I can't understand how I can properly use the word or honestly use the word selfless to describe what I've done. It isn't selfless. I was more concerned with what I got out of it, whether I was aware of it or not, because I could potentially get a lot out. I risked very little. In this case, I've risked very little. The situation wasn't that bad. I mean, I thought, unless I really screw up and I trip and we both get killed, by getting run over by the car, chances are I'm going to keep my footing, because I believe in my physicality, right? I'm a decently healthy person. Then I'm going to get the child and we're both going to be safe. And only good things can happen in that scenario. I'm going to feel good about myself. People are going to shower me with kindness, and so on and so forth. So I don't think I can use selfless in that situation. And I would also apply this to almost everyone else, because I don't think, I'm saying this about myself, but I don't think I'm so different than every other person that it would apply differently, and that there are people out there that truly would be committing a completely selfless act, something where they don't consider themselves at all. I don't think such a person exists, in my opinion. So anyway, I'm going to leave it there. This is just kind of my, off the cuff. I just had these thoughts going through my head, type of thing, and I'm going to revisit this in the future, and I think I'm going to build a better argument for this kind of thing, because I do think I'm right in this. So anyway, anyone who has listened to this point, I thank you very much, and please subscribe, because I'm going to be making more content in the future. And yeah, thanks. Bye.